Cells come in an incredible variety of beautiful shapes, sizes, and functions. This is an embryo, a human embryo actually, not my research, on the end of a pair of forceps and a tiny cluster of little round cells. At up to 50 cells, any one of those could become a whole human being. After 50 cells, between 50 and 150 cells, they're called pluripotent, and it means any one of the cells could become any organ. And there's 200 different kinds of tissues in a human person. The screen's moving enough, you can't see that cell wobble. I spent a lot of time making that thing wobble. That was really fun. Anyway, trust me, they're not all little round globes. I'm going to show you with the electron microscope a variety. Oh, there it goes. It's wobbling. Don't miss it. So here's a nerve cell. They're huge. They're long. Some nerve cells have projections that go inches rather than, you know, how many cells can you get on the head of a pin? Little round cells, like blood cells, you can probably get 10,000 to 20,000 of them on the head of a pin. They're very, very small. In one of you, each one of you, there's 100 trillion cells. Now, if you're short like I am, you might have a few less. 100 trillion cells. 100 billion of them sit in your brain. And those 100 billion nerve cells, astrocytes and neurons, make 100 trillion connections. So they connect with each other in amazing ways. We used to think that a nerve impulse started here and it went through this nerve and that nerve and that nerve and that nerve and that. It was very linear. What's known, and I will show you EKGs tonight, I'll show you brain activity that shows there's like a hologram, there's stuff going on all over your head all the time. So the brain is an incredible processor, let alone whatever that sense of our consciousness and mind is that's bigger than the brain. But the brain serves us really, really well. So that's one kind of cell. There are 100 billion stars in the galaxies we know. So there are as many cells in your brain as in any of the galaxies, the stars in the galaxies we know. You are indeed a universe. These are cells in the eye. This is with scanning microscopy. This one's not my work. The next slides I show you will. Here is a rod cell that receives all the black and white information. Here's a cone cell down here that processes all the color information. They're long, they're funky looking, and if you take and section one, cut down in it, take a very thin section, put it in the electron microscope, this is what it looks like. Here's a whole series of them in fish. Here's the end of that cell. It goes all the way down here and all the way back up here. Now this fuzzy stuff up here, these are packages of membranes, stacks and stacks of membranes that have a certain enzyme in them. The enzyme's name is rhodopsin. This is the one thing in your body that has the ability to capture light, a photon, and translate the photon into an electrical chemical impulse. Mitchell Gibson spoke and said, no light gets in your brain. Absolutely true. And this is the business end of the translator that takes all this variety, oranges, yellows, whites, browns, the complexity of color, texture, image, and translates it to an electrical chemical impulse that is sent to this nerve and that nerve, and eventually to a part of the brain where image is experienced. Now, parts of this cell are really interesting. We've got these membranes. Down here are a pack of what I call the power pack in the cell. Their scientific name is mitochondria. And they generate all the energy in the cell through the Krebs cycle. That pack is all, they're all located right there. And then down here is the nucleus that contains the information of the cell. Down here is a special little apparatus that translates and transmits the information until it gets to the brain. This is a close-up of one of those rod cells, a pretty healthy one with all the mitochondria. This is what one looks like in a fish that's been exposed to petroleum hydrocarbons, like in a polluted area. And what the target is mitochondria. They are killed first. And once there are enough of them gone, pretty soon the fishy is dead. As we age, mitochondria become less inside of our cells. So there's some simple healing techniques you can do to support the mitochondrial health in your body just with your mind. I'll show you how to do some of that. These are lens cells in the eye. An exquisite organ is the lens down inside your eye. This is from a fish. And these are layers of cells that wrap all the way around the lens. We're going to look down right on the top of one of these, and that's what that cell looks like. Totally different than a little round glob swishing along in your body. When disease happens, not only does the function of the cell change, but its look changes. Its morphology and its function go together. Here's normal lens cells from a paper I published. Here are lens cells in a cataract. Now, at the same time those cells are changing, there are proteins inside, alpha-crystalline primarily, which allows light to pass clearly through the lens. Those start cross-linking for one reason or another. When they do, they absorb light and then you can't see. These are cells of the fish skin. Here's one single cell. The outline is here. The mosaic is just exquisite. Human skin looks like pile papers because our skin is sloughing off little dead cells all the time, so it's not real thrilling to look at. This spot right here is where a mucus gland slimes the fish so it can slip through the water easily. This is an early labyrinth in Tintagel. And if we compare that with one single fish cell, somebody thought of it before whoever thought of it in Tintagel. How about that?